Hey everybody, I'm Bryan Grossman, Editor-in-Chief of the Colorado Springs Independent. This is the Indy 15, the weekly show that recaps all you need to know in the news. Our guest in studio today is Marketing and Event Director Jessica McMullen here at the Indy. We also have Managing Editor Helen Lewis in the house. And our podcast director, Nick Raven. Say hey, Nick.
Hi.
All right.
Hey.
Welcome everybody to the Indy 15. So thank you, Jessica, for being here today. We appreciate it. You are here to talk about our diversity, equity, and inclusion, both paper and event. The event is happening this evening, Thursday, and the paper's already out, came out yesterday. So talk us through the DEI selection process. What's this all about?
Okay, so the DEI Awards start with a nomination process where we send out and do a call for who believes that the people around them have really embody the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and people making a difference to make us a better community.
Okay.
Then we take the 20 or 30 applications that we got, and the nominating committee, made up of previous winners, review all of those. And they had a 2-hour conversation about all of them, pulling out, because it's hard. It's really hard to pick which people. And in that process, we selected 3 folks that really were transformational leaders. These were folks who are really in positions of leadership and are making these giant differences. And 3 people who were champions in advocacy, 3 people who their advocacy work is just awesome for what they're doing.
Yeah. And this is the second year that the Indy has done this, along with sister publication, the Business Journal, and some of the other newspapers we put out here in the company. I'll just name the winners so we can talk about who actually won this year. As far as the Champions in Advocacy Award winners, we have Patience Kabwasa. People who are familiar with the Indy are familiar with Patience. She writes our diversity column. We also have Julissa. I'm going to try that again. Julissa Soto. And then the other Advocacy Award winner was Jennifer Horn. And then as far as Transformational Leader winners, we have Joe Aldaz. Joe is the director of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Concilio. We also have Wendy Birhanzel, a Transformational Leader Award winner, and she is Superintendent of District 2. Is that right? Harrison District 2.
Yeah.
And then Anthony Perez, who's also no stranger to the Independent. He's been hired on as a sales consultant here, so Anthony Perez is a Transformational Leader Award winner.
But he only got that before he was hired on. We had no idea.
There's a disclosure and everything, yeah. So he was actually hired on after he was selected for that award. So why is it important to do something like this, do you think? Why do we do this?
Well, the Colorado Springs and Pikes Peak region on a whole is one of those communities where there are so many places that are pretty homogenous that we start ignoring all the places that aren't.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to do that. So when we're looking at what are we doing to be a diverse community, a welcoming community, that's how we grow our economy, that's how we grow our culture, that's how we grow our communities. And no matter how diverse we are, if we're not welcoming, if we're not inclusive, there's not a way to really thrive.
Yeah. So
all of that diversity, the equity, the inclusion, they're all so important to celebrate for what are people doing to make us better. So.
Okay. And I see we're all very dressed up. There's something happening tonight to sort of go along with this. Helen, are you going to the DEI event tonight?
I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah?
It was so fun last year.
You went last year?
Yeah, I did. Yes.
And this is different this year. How was it last year?
I think it was in the I know it was in the daytime last year. I was actually announcing them last year, so I do remember. And it was just, it's kind of a really hopeful, joyful, festive event. Yeah, it's a great time.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the actual event and what to expect this evening if people are going?
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got an hour of networking, giving people a chance to meet each other and see which people are really interested in celebrating DEI. And then we've got an awesome business panel in coordination with Colorado Springs Leadership Institute talking about leading in diversity. And that's going to be really cool. We've got Ekta Markulier, Harrison Hunter, and Barbara Myrick.
Okay.
And they're wonderful, and that's all done in coordination with CSLI.
Okay.
And then we're going to be giving these great awards. So
yeah. Ikta is with the SBDC. The
SBA now.
Oh,
She's
the
a
SBA. Sorry,
presidential-
you're right. Yes, she was
Region
the,
8
Yeah,
now.
Region
Yeah.
8. Myrick, I know she has a construction company.
Yep,
is that right?
she's the
Okay.
owner of B&M Construction.
Okay, and who was the second one?
Hunter Harrison. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the order. Who's with
Harrison
Northwestern Mutual.
Okay,
Thank you. I thought it was Harrison Hunter, but
all right. And being deep in the event side, outside of DEI, anything else that an e-reader should sort of be looking out for on the horizon?
definitely. The
Yeah.
Women of Influence nominations close on next Friday,
Okay.
September the 23rd. So for those folks looking for a way to recognize the women really making a difference in the community, now's the time, and get those applications in at csbj.com/nominate.
And that is a business journal publication, the Women of Influence, for those who aren't familiar. I forget how many we do, but we've been doing it for a long time now, and it's a magazine that comes out that sort of highlights influential women in the community.
And we typically do 14 winners
14,
each year.
thank you. Yep, that sounds about right. What else event-wise? Anything else?
We've got the Colorado Springs COS CEO, which is really exciting, and we're going to be hearing from Sarah Hirschland from the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee.
Yep.
She's their executive director, and she's coming in on Thursday, October the 13th
Right.
at 4:30 at 3E's Comedy Club, and
Right.
easy fun to come to, getting the chance to hear one-on-one from CEOs.
Yep. And Threes is a cool venue. I don't think we said where the event tonight is, though, did we?
Tonight is at Great Wolf Lodge
Yep.
from 5 to 7:30.
Right. Tickets still available? If it's going to be, this is coming out a little later, so it might be close to the wire. But
Tickets really not available.
yeah, all right. So
Anybody who shows up is standing.
Yep. Talk to your friends who did go and find out how it went.
We'll record it. We'll
yeah.
share it with you guys online.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jess. We appreciate you coming on and talking about events. We should probably talk about the paper that's coming out, too, just a little bit. The cover is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It's got our 6 winners on it. But
And lots of details about the work that they've done and why they're getting the awards.
True. And then we've got some killer news stories in this issue, including one by our own Helen Lewis about the Air Force Academy at it again when it comes to what some might say is religious discrimination. Do you want to just give an elevator pitch on that?
Yeah, basically, this was brought to our attention by the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, and there was last month. August was declared Spiritual Fitness Month, and
At the Academy.
by the Academy. And the problem with this was that the idea of promoting one religion or having a religion over other religions or not having a religion. And so their point was that it actually violates the Air Force's own standards. And so there's a lot of detail. It's actually really interesting about the standard that they're talking about, and also there's a long history of the Air Force Academy sort of taking this approach with Christianity over other religions or no religion. Yeah. So it's a good story. I mean,
It is a good story. You can say that
I can say
because it is.
interesting story to tell.
Yeah. And then we also have another news piece by our reporter Greta Anderson. The title of this one is All in Your Head, and then toxicology experts say it's highly unlikely for first responders to overdose on fentanyl during routine searches. We'll give a shout out to Corey Hutchins with Colorado College's journalism department because he put out a newsletter a month or so ago that talked about this issue and how all of a sudden a lot of experts were saying that. Let me back up a little bit. The first time I saw something even related to this was a YouTube video of a police officer at a department not here in Colorado who was shown to be having, it looked like cardiac arrest, and he was on the ground and needed immediate help. And the narrative was that he had been exposed to fentanyl during a search. Then we had multiple of these sorts of situations popping up at police departments all over the country. Corey had written the thing that said, well, wait a minute, according to a lot of experts, it's just not possible for these sort of reactions to happen from, there was even an example of a toxicologist who spilled pure liquid fentanyl all over his body and just washed it off in a sink and was fine. So Greta sort of takes a look at this issue and speaks with law enforcement, talks to Dr. Leon Kelly, who's the coroner here in El Paso County, about fentanyl and reactions that people would actually have. So it's a really good story. I recommend checking it out. And then, all the other cool stuff that the Indy does. We got some food, we've got some music, we've got some columns, and it's on newsstands now waiting to be picked up. So if you can't make it to DEI, if you don't already have tickets, we're sorry. That's how popular it is. But
catch it online. There'll be lots of neat stuff available.
Catch it online, and definitely pick up the paper, read about the deserving winners, and get tickets early to the next event, because we put on some cool events, don't we, Jess?
We do.
All right. So I want to thank Jessica McMullen, Director of Marketing and Events here at the Indy. I'd also like to thank Helen Lewis, a very quiet Nick Raven, who's holding down the fort back there. And be sure to pick up this week's, I'll hold it up so you can see it, this week's Indy. You can also see it there, very, very similar. And if you wanted to check out all of this audio stuff, but with some video, head over to YouTube and find our podcast there. Subscribe, click the bell so that you get notifications anytime something new pops up. This show is produced by Dave Gardner and Nick Raven. It was directed by Dave Gardner, distributed by our digital team consisting of Sean Cassidy and Michaela Jones. Dustin Glatz is our art director, Amy Gillentine is our publisher, and I'm editor-in-chief Bryan Grossman. Be sure to join us next week for another episode of the Indy 15.